All right, so you ready to dive into something completely different today?
Always up for an adventure. What do you have for us?
Well, how about we explore some Urdu poetry?
Oh, cool. I'm not super familiar with Urdu poetry, to be honest.
It's really beautiful and complex, and luckily we'll be using an English translation.
Okay, good. That's a relief. So what poem are we looking at?
It's called Woman, and it's by Hamid Hayat Nazar.
Interesting title. What's it about?
Well, it's about woman, obviously, but it's more than that, really. It goes deep.
Deep.
Yeah, like it tackles some really big questions about the very nature of what it means to be a woman, you know?
Ooh, I like where this is going. Sounds philosophical.
It definitely is. And it does all this through beautiful language, imagery, metaphors, the whole shebang.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Let's
Yeah.
jump in.
Okay, so right off the bat, the poem makes this really interesting connection.
Okay, what kind of connection?
It links the creation of woman with the creation of the universe itself.
Whoa, hold on. That's pretty profound.
Right. It's not just saying, oh, here's a woman. She exists in the world.
It's making her fundamental to the universe, like she's woven into its very fabric.
Exactly. So what do you think that means?
Well, it suggests that women aren't just in the world, they're essential to its existence.
I like that. But why do you think the poet would make that connection?
Good question. It could be rooted in Islamic and Sufi thought.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, in those traditions, the feminine is often seen as a reflection of divine creative power.
So, like the power that brought everything into being.
Precisely. So by linking woman to creation, the poem is elevating her to this really high status.
Wow, yeah, that's not a perspective you see every day, especially in Western literature.
Definitely not. It makes you reconsider the way we typically think about women and their role in the grand scheme of things.
It really does. And speaking of things we don't always see, there's another theme the poem keeps coming back to.
Oh, what's that?
It's this idea of woman as a paradox, of being full of contradictions.
Ooh, that's interesting. Give me an example.
Okay, so the poem describes her as light and darkness,
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
a cause of both honor and disgrace.
Wow, yeah, those are some pretty stark contrasts.
Right, and then it calls her a collection of opposites.
Huh. You know, this idea of woman as a paradox isn't unique to Urdu poetry.
You're right, it pops up in literature from all over the world.
Absolutely, it's a common theme throughout history. Think about how many stories depict women as figures of immense love and a terrifying anger.
It's like they embody this duality, this capacity for creation and destruction.
Exactly. They nurture, but can also destroy. They're complex and multifaceted.
There's this one line that really gets me. From her lap springs both flower and thorn.
That's a great one. So evocative, right?
It perfectly captures that duality. But then the poem also celebrates female beauty.
Yes. It talks about the undeniable power that beauty holds.
It even says that kings pay tribute to her beauty. What do you make of that?
It's interesting because historically, beauty has been a double-edged sword for women.
What do you mean?
On the one hand, it can be a source of power. Think about how beauty has influenced art, literature, even politics throughout history.
Right.
But it can also be a source of oppression.
Oh, I see what you mean, like women being valued primarily for their appearance rather than their intellect or abilities.
Exactly. It can limit opportunities and reduce women to objects of desire rather than subjects with their own agency.
It makes you think about the line, kings lay their crowns at her feet.
Yeah, is that genuine admiration or is there an element of control there? Are they captivated by her or trying to possess her?
It's a question that resonates even today, as women navigate the complexities of beauty and power in contemporary society.
Absolutely. It's a timeless theme.
You know, what I found really striking is that the poem never tries to define woman as simply good or bad.
That's true. It avoids easy categorization. It doesn't try to put her in a neat little box.
It seems to embrace her complexity.
I think that's the brilliance of this poem. It pushes us to move beyond those simplistic labels,
It challenges us to appreciate the multifaceted nature of the feminine.
to see the nuances, the contradictions, the full spectrum of what it means to be a woman.
Like the poem is saying, look closer, there's so much more to her than meets the eye.
I love that interpretation. It really captures the poem's spirit.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into woman, what are your final thoughts?
Well, for me, this poem is a reminder that Urdu poetry isn't just about beautiful words, it's about deep ideas.
It's using that beauty to explore complex philosophical concepts, in this case, womanhood.
And it does so in a way that makes you think long after you've finished reading.
It sparks these questions about creation, duality, beauty, and power that linger in your mind.
It makes you wonder, what would it mean to view the world through a lens that embraces paradox and duality?
Not just when it comes to women, but in every aspect of life.
Exactly. To see the light and darkness in everything, the flower and the thorn, the honor and the disgrace.
That's definitely something I'll be pondering. And hey, maybe this deep dive will inspire you to check out more Urdu poetry too.
There's a whole world of beauty and insight waiting to be discovered, just like the poem suggests.
Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of Urdu poetry. And until next time, happy exploring.
Thanks for having me.